Subarus and engine oil have always been a hot topic. How many times have you seen someone ask on your forum or on your Facebook group, what oil are you guys running? Well, today I'm going to be putting that topic to bed with Walmart oil. One thing to note before we go ahead and talk about what oil I'm running in my Forester, let's talk a little bit more about my Forester itself. And as many of you guys know, if you follow along on the channel, my Forester has the naturally aspirated 2.5 single overhead cam. So this video is going to be more directed towards those engines, the little bit older Subarus that are naturally aspirated. As you guys know, I do have the STI. The STI, I do run a little bit different oil because, well, it is turbocharged. So today we're going to be focusing specifically on the naturally aspirated Subarus. And if you're new here, this is my 2004 Subaru Forester. It's my off-road and overland build. It's got some big all-terrain tires, skid plates, long travel coilovers, and a bunch of other things. So maintaining the oil on this thing is especially important, especially in the summer where we're driving along dusty trails for hours, if not days. And with everything that I put the Forester through, I do change the oil at 5,000 kilometers. And if I'm going on a long trip that might be like a couple thousand, I'll even change it before then. As you guys saw when we did the valves on this car, the internals are actually looking really good for 400,000 kilometers on this engine. Yes, it does have some piston slap. Yes, it's a little bit noisy, but for 400,000 kilometers on this EJ, it is doing an incredible job. And with those 5,000 kilometer intervals, of course, we also go ahead and change the filter, which we'll be talking about a little bit. But to talk a little bit more about the oil, it is a full synthetic that I do change every 5,000 kilometers. And well, speaking of full synthetic, this is the exact oil I'm using. It is found at Walmart. It's called like SuperTech, European formula for a JDM car, but it is a full synthetic oil. I'm specifically running 5W40. I actually ran that on both my cars just because older car, naturally aspirated, and then turbo car. So it works for both the cars, and it's actually pretty recommended up here in Alberta, Canada. So that is what I'm running. As I said, you can get this in a couple different specs. I obviously go 5W40, but you can get a couple other specs in the full synthetic. You can also, because it is Subaru, 5 liters fills it up almost perfectly. I almost have just a little bit at the bottom that I will kind of top up throughout the 5,000 kilometer period because it does burn a little bit. Now you're probably wondering why I went with, well, Walmart oil out of all the different oils I could find for a 5W40. It's a pretty common weight. So why did I go with the Walmart oil? Well, the truth is most oils are pretty much the same. They're all made by the same company. It's hard for a small startup to go ahead and start making their own oil and their own refinery. So the companies that make oil are all really the same. And well, the company that makes this specific batch of oil is the Warren Oil Company. So they all make it for the basic, for the Kirkland, as well as the SuperTech. So they make a wide range of it. And really at the end of the day, all oils are pretty much the same. They all have to pass the same certifications. So if you could go a cheaper one, why can't you? Especially in something like this, because you're going to be getting the same level of protection no matter the price you pay. There is some obviously that will add a little bit more additives, but again, you can go ahead and track down who makes that. If it's not the Warren Oil Company, for these ones, you could go track it down and go find it probably on an off-label brand. And for $30, you can't really go wrong for making sure you keep up with those oil changes. There has been lots of data that shows that doing more frequent oil changes is better than running just a little bit better oil. And well, speaking of other ways to save money, as I mentioned, I do a filter change every 5,000 kilometers as well. And well, I'm not running the Subaru oil filter, as you might have guessed. I'm actually running a Mazda oil filter. This is the one for the RX-7, I believe, and it is that number right there if you're looking for it. It also is the same filter that you get from Subaru of Japan. It is the black top filter that is made in Tokyo. It's made in Japan. So it is the same JDM filter you can get from Subaru for like a quarter of the cost sometimes. The JDM filters here in Canada are quite expensive. I think I've seen them $40, $50. This one I got for, I think it's under $10. And if you didn't believe me, it actually says Tokyo Roki right here. And that is the same brand that makes those JDM filters that you see from Subaru Japan. So why not go ahead, grab yourself a Mazda oil filter. It might say a different brand name, but it is that same filter. And it's one of the best filters you can get for Subaru. So that is exactly why I'm running this. And to recap, not only does the Walmart oil and the Mazda filter save you a little bit of money, but it might be even better than what you're doing right now. So in the comment section down below, let me know what you think of me running, well, Subaru oil and a Mazda oil filter in my Forester, and let me know if you have any questions down below. Also, don't forget, when you're doing an oil change, it's always a good time to go ahead and rotate the tires. And before we go ahead and wrap up today's video, don't forget to go ahead and check out the channel memberships for some exclusive perks and behind the scenes content. But that is it for today's short video on how to save a little bit of money with your oil change. So I will see you guys in the next adventure.